All right, this is cause number 24 DCCR 0122, State of Texas versus Catherine Welch. Ma'am, are you Catherine Welch?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Welch is here with her attorney, Mr. Gertz. State's attorney is present. Ms. Welch was previously in court, entered a plea of guilty to driving while intoxicated third or more, as well as a prior offense, which made it a second-degree felony offense. There was no agreement with regard to punishment. I have received the pre-sentence report, and has everyone had an opportunity to review that report?
We have, Judge.
I have, Your Honor.
Are there any additions or corrections to that report?
Not from the state, other than I want to acknowledge I have received Mr. Gertz's sentencing memorandum.
I'm going to get to that too in just a second. Any additions or corrections?
Aside from the one comment that I make in the sentencing memoranda about a comment that she made about rehabilitation, I think it's more of a clarification, so I'm happy to touch on that. But other than that, we don't have any additions or corrections.
Okay. And Ms. Smallfino has already stated, as well as I received the sentencing memorandum at 5:47 p.m. yesterday. Going to point that out for the record.
The Harris County judge got her sentencing memoranda at midnight, so.
Well, it was reviewed quite early this morning, but I did review it. Ms. Smallfino, you've had time to review it as well?
Same, Your Honor.
Okay. Other than that, I think you all should have a couple, there's only a few, but there were some jail incident reports that should have been provided to counsel. Did you both receive those as well?
Yes, Judge.
I did.
Okay. Is everyone ready to proceed with sentencing then?
Yes, Judge.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Gertz, do you have witnesses?
I'm not going to call any live witnesses unless the court requires it. When we have a person present from the Dream Center, if the court wants to inquire about that, I would essentially let her come up and talk if you want to have that conversation. But
Okay.
I think, our focus here is going to be on the topics that we talk about or write about in the sentencing memo. And, just sort of allowing, if the court decides to do what we're asking you to do, we are open and welcome to whatever the court requires of her
Sure.
to enter and successfully complete. We just wanted you to have that option on the table as well. That
Okay.
is an option that doesn't cost the court anything.
Right.
The state anything.
And for the record, I'm aware of the Dream Center and their program and what they do. And so if I have any specific questions, if we get to something where I would need that, then I appreciate them being here and I'll ask those questions. Ms. Malfino, does the state have any witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then argument.
Judge, I want to, I recognize this is a unique case and a unique ask that we're making here. This is not something small that we're asking for. I have sort of personally taken Catherine on over the last 3+ years, I guess almost 4 years, as a project for me, if that makes any sense. And what I mean by that is I really wanted to put to the test, could this person do everything that I asked her to do to at least get her an opportunity to be here in front of you asking what we're asking for? She exceeded my expectations by doing the 90-day inpatient rehabilitation. And while she was there, she started to explore with her counselors and her therapists there some of the underlying issues that went beyond just physical addiction, but actually had to do with her mental health and some of the things that she's experienced in her life. I'm not going to detail them on the record, but the court is aware of what those things are. Incredibly traumatic events that I think she had repressed and had never really addressed and explored. And so those counselors recommended not just aftercare, but a specific outpatient program to address some of the trauma issues that she's had. She went and checked into that program, stayed for basically a year, and again, did everything we asked her to do. When I told her to go get her own drug patch, I told her to go get her own interlock device. She did all of that. Those records should be attached to the memo. She was successful, has been following the rules, doing everything we've asked her to do. Had been going to AA, had gotten a counselor, actually reached out and befriended the director of the Dream Center to try to figure out what she can do next to sort of commit herself to her sobriety and to fixing the mental health issues that I think stem from the challenges that she faced as a young person. Sometimes it's easy to look at one side of the ledger, the rap sheet or the criminal history, and think that defines this person. What I have been fortunate enough to do is to really dig down and get to understand her as a human, and see that all the progress she's made, all the effort she's made, and see what she's done well and all of the problems that she's been addressing well. She's obviously very anxious about this day, but we've been looking forward to this day as well to be able to present that. And I want to go down on the bottom of page 2, address what I was talking about in the CSI. So that I'm not saying that this wasn't the words that came out of her mouth, but when she was asked by one of the examiners in the probation report, if she felt she needed treatment, she said she didn't feel like she needed treatment. She wasn't opposed either. I want to clarify what we mean by that. And I say this here, but what she would say, I think, is she did 90 days of detox rehab related treatment, has continued aftercare, has continued mental health care. But in terms of going to a program that is specifically targeted at people who are currently using or currently intoxicated, I think she thought that wasn't the direction that would be ideal. She will do whatever you want her to do, but I wanted to explain what that comment means. And so, because a lot of times, as you know, Judge, private rehabilitation programs will just reject you if you've been clean for 3+ years, as she has. And so they just won't even accept you at all. So I think that was just a misunderstanding or a miscommunication between the probation officer and Catherine. But nonetheless, she's willing to do whatever the court chooses here. Additionally, we've been in contact with her current parole officer. They are willing to keep her on parole instead of revoking her, depending on what the court does here. And so that was encouraging as well. I think we had the same kinds of conversations with them about her recovery and about her efforts. And so I think that was an encouraging sign from them. And then finally, Judge, you see, we didn't want to focus too much on support from the community because, again, this isn't just a run-of-the-mill case. This is a different focus. But she is married. She has a family. She recognizes the impact that all of this has had on her family and her relationships, the strain it has put on her husband, both financially and also emotionally. And she accepts responsibility for that, and is asking the court to consider this extremely rare position that we're asking the court to take here. Obviously, if the court would like her to address the court, she is happy to do that. Or I'm not sure how you want to proceed on that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Malfino?
Judge, I don't envy the position that the court is in this morning. I do take very seriously the comments of Mr. Burks. I take him at his word for that, and I hope that all of those things are true. It's difficult for me as a representative of Jefferson County and the state and the citizens that work on the roads every day to stand up and say I agree with probation, but I don't disagree with the things that Mr. Gertz has said and the information that is in his sentencing memo. To play the other side of the coin, does it suggest that she received the benefit of the doubt already by me waiving the habitual status that she could have been facing based on her number of priors? Does it seem in good conscience that I can say I ignore all of those priors? Absolutely not. But obviously, we have seen that her multiple trips to the penitentiary have resulted in no change of behavior until hopefully now in these last 3 years. And I do sympathize with Ms. Welch as an individual. Again, it's hard for me as a assistant district attorney, to say that I concur with the punishment being probation, but I don't, again, disagree with the comments that Mr. Gertz has. We've had multiple conversations about this case. I know he's worked very diligently at it. I don't really know, Judge, and that's why it's before you, that putting her in prison for 20 years and her getting out in 2 versus an extensive probation period where she can continue the recovery she's been doing is a better option. But again, I don't know what is in the best interest of public safety. Unfortunately, none of us do. So I would defer to the court's wisdom and whatever you think is appropriate based on the volume of information that you have before you.
All right, thank you. Anything else?
Would you like to say something, Judge?
Your Honor, I just want to say that the past was fueled by drugs and alcohol. I take complete responsibility for that. I did not know from very young when things happened in my life that it could have been, some of it could have been treated and stopped earlier if I had gotten help for my mental health. That after I received this DWI, that helped me get myself to a place that I could go into a treatment program and deal with some of those past traumas. In the past, I didn't. I medicated and drank to just forget about the pain, just numb myself out. I didn't know how else to deal with that until when I got on my mental health meds, and I have bipolar, I have PTSD, and my mind back then was very chaotic. And I just want to say, after I had my mental health meds, I was able to go through treatment at Santa Maria in Houston, and that place really saved my life. I did extensive 90-day treatment with trauma counselors. It was a trauma-informed community there. And also, when I completed that, I worked an outpatient program, but I still lived on their facility. I went to the sex trafficking and recovery program, and I was in that for about 8 months, where I got the state paid for the counseling for trauma still. And I just worked really hard in that. I got a job while I was in there. And then once that program was over, I moved to a sober living facility in Oxford House in spring, and I worked there until I felt like I was strong enough to come home and do what I needed to do. And I was in the complete program for right out of a year. And I'm sorry, I'm very nervous today, and I know that my past record is, like Ryan said, atrocious. But you know, the things that I had to deal with within myself from when I was a little girl, those are things that you don't go to prison, even in their programs there, that you don't talk about. It's just, you just don't. And I'm asking you, please do not send me back to prison. I want to move forward. I have moved forward in my life, and this year that I've been in jail has given me more time to think and know that I am definitely headed in the right direction. I have a sponsor. I attend AA at home. I had moved on with my life as far as I could with my sobriety. I mean, I knew this charge was out there. And I think I made some really good choices with my Mid-County AA friends. They've helped me a lot. And I am open to anything. I will abide by all the rules and do anything that's asked of me. And I think, I know now that I'm responsible and capable of taking care of my business and my life.
Thank you. So, Ms. Welch, Ms. Malfino probably said it yet best, and I get this often, and they don't envy my position, and this is the worst part of my job. But I worked hard to get here, and it's my job. Part of my job, it's several things, and it's to look at, obviously defendants and giving chances and things like that, but it also is about making our community safe. And I have to look back, this is your 10th DWI. It's not your 5th. It's not your 8th. It's the 10th. And while I understand the trauma that you went through, that you've been to SAFE 3 times. You've been given opportunities on probation where they were revoked. You've had opportunities while you were on parole to do what you have done now. And while I appreciate what you've done, and I think that's great, and my goal isn't to, to stop any improvement, but I can't, in my opinion, in good faith, go home tonight, look myself in the mirror and say I gave somebody on their 10th DWI, that your last sentence was for 15 years in prison. The one before that was for 10. The one before that, you've gone to another 10 year, back in 09. I mean, this goes back to the 90s. You got a 10-year sentence in 2011. While you're on parole for that one, you get another one, so they give you 15 years, and you get out and you're on parole and you do it again. The fact is, we're just lucky that you haven't killed someone in our community 9 times over, being given opportunities. I just can't do it. I'm going to find that you entered your plea of guilty freely and voluntarily. I'm going to find and your plea of true to the prior offense. I'm going to find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of driving while intoxicated. I'm going to sentence you to a term of 18 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. You're going to be handed a trial court certification that shows this was not, well, I guess there was an agreement because the waiver of the enhancement, which could have been a 25 to life, as Mr. Gertz said. So I'm going to hand you the certification that shows this was an agreement. You've waived your right to appeal. I'm also handing you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession, because of the judgment entered against you, you're ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Possession of a firearm or ammunition could lead to charges against you. You should read the written admonishment I provide you. If you have any questions about that, you can talk to Mr. Gertz. And Ms. Welch, I take no pleasure in this. This is extremely difficult for me. I understand to some extent addiction, and I understand that you are on a better path. However, there have been plenty of opportunities in the past where you were on a better path and you got back out and you got back on our roads again. And so good luck to you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Gertz and Ms. Malfino. Court will be adjourned.